Hi guys, it's me, Judge Vonda B, and I am bringing to you our first episode of the Support Court podcast. I have a very special guest here with me today. As promised to you all last week when I did my live feed, I told you this is someone who has a very interesting story. Kind of gave you a little introduction into it, but I want you to hear exactly from him about his child support situation and how it not only impacted him, it impacted those around him as well. So let's jump right into it. Mr. Johnson, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So tell us about you.
So first off, my name is Myron Johnson. I'm from the Dallas area, graduated from Duncanville High School, worked at a local radio station here in the early 2000s. So yeah, I have an interesting story about a child support.
Okay, all right. So tell us about it. You know, start us off. How did we get to the child support situation exactly?
Well, a friend of mine, we were close friends. We used to mess around, and we ended up having a kid together.
Okay. How long did you all mess around, per se?
I would say for a couple of years. You know, we was friends. She went off to college, and so I was still here. So we would connect during the summertime, and you know, we established a friendship before we even had a kid. And then
is that what people call the lovers and friends type situation?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
You know, like I said, I worked in radio, so she felt like I was moving around a lot.
All right.
So we didn't do the girlfriend, boyfriend generic thing. And so we ended up having a kid together. And I ended up getting on child support in a way that I don't think most people are aware of.
Okay, so let me back you up a little bit.
Buckle up, guys. Today we're diving into a case where betrayal and courtroom tension collide head-on. Right from the start, Judge Vonda B sets the tone, firm, focused, and not here for nonsense. The moment she discovers that one sister abandoned her child while the other stepped up as both mother and provider, the energy shifts. You can practically feel the room freeze. It's not just about child support. It's about trust, responsibility, and calling out selfish behavior. This isn't just a legal dispute. It's a family imploding under the weight of one person's bad decisions. And it's only getting started.
The two of you were messing around.
Mm-hmm.
You all had a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
She ends up pregnant. You all have a child.
Correct.
At the time that the child was born, when, if at all, did you sign a birth certificate or did you have a DNA test? What was the story behind that?
So what happened was after we had the baby, I claimed him on my first income tax.
Okay.
I was audited, and so I basically had to prove that he was my son.
Okay.
And so one of the fastest ways to do that, if you're not already on child support, is to sign an acknowledgment of paternity.
Okay.
So I signed an acknowledgment of paternity. I actually drove it to Austin. They did everything in like a day. So I got the birth certificate, was able to send it to my taxes, and then boom, I got my taxes. So it was nothing to think about at that time because I had no reason to suspect that he wasn't my child when I signed the acknowledgement of paternity. And so
let me ask you a question about that acknowledgement of paternity, because and you'll have to forgive me, we abbreviate things a lot, AOP,
okay.
all
AOP,
right?
Yeah.
Did you know at the time you signed the acknowledgement of paternity what that actually meant?
I guess I should say yes and no.
Okay, what do you mean by yes and no?
Because at the time I felt I didn't know that it could possibly hold basically, even if you find out that you're not the father, that it would still hold you legally responsible for that child. And so that's the part that I didn't know. And I think the reason why I didn't know that is because I didn't go into it thinking that what ended up happening would have happened.
All right.
Meaning, when I signed it, I was 100% sure that my son was my son.
Okay. Now, you mentioned something about another child.
Mm-hmm.
How did that
All right, guys. The courtroom just got colder. When the abandoning sister casually strolls in with attitude, as if she's the victim here, you can sense Judge Vonda's patience thinning fast. Her excuses sound more like a stand-up routine gone wrong. Meanwhile, the sister who raised the child delivers cold, hard facts, receipts, school pickups, late-night fevers. She lived it all. And then, boom, the judge demands clarity. Is this about money or just pure nerve? This part exposes the real villain, someone who wants to reap the benefits without lifting a finger. It's raw, it's tense, and it's real courtroom fire.
Impact what your beliefs were about the child, Myron Morrell Johnson Jr., right?
Mm-hmm.
How did that impact your feelings about signing that acknowledgement of paternity?
In the beginning, I had my second son look identical to me.
Okay.
And so there was a few people, family included, that never really believed that Myron Morrell Johnson Jr. was even my child, even my grandmother. And so, I never would go take a DNA test because I felt like I wasn't going to prove to somebody else that my child is mine.
That was my next question. Why didn't you act on that when someone like your grandmother, I'm assuming you have a close relationship with her?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And this person is telling you this, why not act on it?
I don't know. I don't know if it was because that was my first son and I didn't, my mom was attached. I don't know. There's a lot of emotions that go through that, you know what I'm saying? But the main one was that I wasn't gonna prove to my family that somebody I felt like was my child was mine.
Right. He was gonna be yours regardless.
Regardless.
Okay.
Right. And so,
So this other child comes into the play, looks just like you. What was going through your mind at that time?
At the time, still just I got two sons. So
Okay.
Initially it was nothing. Funny thing is that she, which is Myron's mother, is
Okay.
the one who kind of brought it about. She asked me a question like, it was something to the point that, do I wish that, and my other son's name is Jai, by the way.
Okay.
Do I wish Jai was born first and he had, like if he was a junior?
Okay.
It was just weird. It was just,
That is a weird question. I haven't spoken to her to say what her intentions were, but it sounds like she asked that question because your second son looked just like you.
Looked just like me, my family. And it was at Lil Myron's birthday party, to be exact, because she had went out and bought both of the boys.
If you thought it couldn't get messier, hold tight. When the defendant tries to flip the narrative, blaming her own sister for taking her child, it's pure chaos. Judge Vonda doesn't miss a beat, dismantling her logic brick by brick. She lays out a reality check that echoes through the courtroom. And when the aunt reveals the emotional toll, tears, tantrums, and lost sleep, it hits deep. This isn't just about dollars. It's about damage. What we're seeing is the clash between delusion and duty. And Judge Vonda, she's making sure justice doesn't just show up, it lands hard.
Boys like matching outfits.
Okay. And how old were the boys at this time?
4 and 3.
Okay.
Because they're only like, not even a full year apart. But,
Okay.
Or they're right at a year apart. But yeah, so that happened, and then they started creating a little doubt. Not the doubt like I thought Lil Myron wasn't mine, but more so like now I had to be sure,
Now you had to get the DNA testing.
Now I had to do it. And
Okay.
so
What happened next? Did you get the DNA testing?
not instantly, it took a couple of months after that, maybe 6 to 8 months, and then we eventually had several different conversations about how we were gonna go about doing a DNA test. So I asked if she would go half with me on it, and she
How
agreed.
expensive are DNA tests exactly?
Oh man, I think we paid about $2 something.
Okay.
They're probably a little cheaper now because it's, you can go to the store and get them. But we went to a reputable location in Fort Worth and did it, and we waited on the results.
Okay. How did you feel waiting on those results?
Again, to be honest with you, I didn't get anxious until like later on, because a week had passed, and they said it'd take about a week. And my little cousin was, jokingly telling me to call and find out, and I didn't want to do that.
Is it for the same reason as to why you didn't want to do the DNA testing? You didn't want to have to prove anything to your family members?
On that one, I think I had got to that point where I was unsure. I was scared. I didn't know what was I gonna do if it come back. If it come back mine, I'm good. Whatever. But then I had to start thinking about what if he wasn't mine, and that's emotions in itself. And so we finally ended up doing the DNA test. I went out of town for like a week to Atlanta, and I came back, and then I got the worst news probably ever in my life.
And buckle up one last time, because this verdict is a bombshell. Judge Vonda B. doesn't just rule, she lays down a legacy. She grants child support to the aunt and throws in a scathing rebuke to the absent mother. It's the kind of decision that shakes families to the core, but saves children from years of pain. And just like that, the court turns a page. But the message? Crystal clear. If you abandon your role, don't expect sympathy, expect accountability. This courtroom wasn't just about justice, it was about truth. If you enjoyed the drama and insight, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.